Today for Newcastle Fans TV, I got to interview the living legend. Of course, it's Mick Lowes, and we've been talking about the off-field issues which are currently happening at the club. From the Football Fair Foundation and communication from the club to the fans, and of course down to Strawberry Place, Mike Ashley and the ownership. Let's begin today's video. See, coming up to January, that's fast approaching. What do you think we will or should be doing in the transfer market?
Buying.
And where do you think the priorities are in that team? I mean, when do you start?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
You could say, off the top of your head, easy answer, buy a centre forward. But then, hang on a minute. If you buy a centre forward and a top centre forward, if he hasn't got a supply line, what's the point of having a top centre forward?
So that was quite Gail's point, wasn't it?
And a top centre forward's not going to come if he doesn't think he's going to get ammunition. Then at the other end of the pitch, there's no point having a top centre forward if you're going to concede 3 goals. Now defensively, they've done okay this season, but would you say they're not in need of a couple of good fullbacks, a couple of absolutely. I mean, all over the pitch, it needs strengthening. So, the January window it's neither here nor there really, because you've got to prioritise. First and foremost, you've got to say, do we need to strengthen to survive, or do we think we'll survive anyway? Now, if he thinks we're going to survive, and there's probably a better than even chance that we will survive, he won't go out and spend any money. He'll what's the point? I mean, we cannot get anywhere near that top 5 or 6. So, his argument will be, what's the point, I mean, windows in the past where he's spent, the famous one where he signed the 7 French, including Cabaye, who's a top player, Debuchy was a top player, Sissoko, who's flattered to deceive. They were in need then, seriously, of strengthening. Yeah. Do they need to strengthen in January? There's probably an argument that says they probably don't. And if they don't, he won't.
Yeah, I know. I think from what Bruce has been saying as well in his press conferences, he's been playing it very, very, very coy, very, very clever.
Because he's being told.
He's
being told. Make no mistake about that. That's not Steve Bruce talking. That's Steve Bruce reacting to what he's being told. Yeah. Because as I said before, he is just the latest manager of Newcastle United Football Club, who's managing with his hands tied behind his back.
At the moment, what are your thoughts, Mick, on the decision about Strawberry Place and how St James's will be hidden in the name of making Mike Ashley his favourite thing in the world, which is a few more pound notes? And should the council and others have not done more to protect the cathedral on the hill and obviously the views? You'll have seen yourself coming back into the city today. That is going to change forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's been talked about for years. I mean, I remember sitting in Sir John Hall's office 25 years ago, whenever it was, and showing me plans of a state-of-the-art hotel going down into the metro station. The whole of that Strawberry Place car park was going to be a development. Nobody cared then.
Yeah.
Nobody cared when Sir John Hall was going to build it, and it was going to be a hotel, and it was going to look magnificent. It was going to incorporate the football ground. Just because Mike Ashley's doing it now, everybody's got upset.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, does it really matter? And the problem that we've got, of course, is that we are in a peculiar situation in that St James's is the only football stadium of any note that is in the city centre. Yeah. So whether you try and get away from it or not, you can't leave it alone because it's there. And ultimately, if it brings more, we're sitting here moaning about Mike Ashley's lack of spending or Mike Ashley's lack of investment. If in some perverse way it brings money into the football club, which they can then be rechanneled, I don't know, then let it happen.
I think what he's done. I think what's got a lot of fans, irks up, and I think a lot of the messages that come through to us is to say that the land was sold off relatively cheaply to Mike Ashley's. Is it son-in-law? I believe it is. It's his son-in-law who sold the land off to. So obviously, it's money that's going to be in the Ashley household. But Newcastle have got pence in the pound.
But I can remember the car park on the corner there that used to be the old social club on Barrack Road. Yeah. Douglas Hall bought that for about £5 back in the day. He did exactly the same. He bought that off his dad. So I mean. I don't think at this minute in time it's something that we should concern ourselves too much with.
Yeah.
You know, let's not worry about, you know, whether you can see the Gallagher from the old co-op or you can or you can't. You know, let's worry about more important things, i.e., what's happening on the football pitch. You know,
what was it like being inside the club on nights like, and in particular like the San Siro and stuff like that? How did it feel? You know, just getting opportunities to follow the club during that sort of time. How did it feel, Mick? That sort of thing. So you can't put it into perspective, can you? For this generation, I mean, I saw some of it, and as a kid growing up, it was just like it surrounded and it engulfed me. It was intoxicating.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it sounds weird, but I mean, it was a job for me. You know, first and foremost, it was a job. So you're not a fan. I mean, you are ultimately a fan, but you're doing a job, so you don't really sort of get caught up in it. But when you look back at it, as I've said 100 times, you just realise how lucky you are and how blessed you are. But you know, the longer it goes on, I sometimes seriously have to pinch myself and say, did that really happen?
Yeah.
You know, was it really that good? You know, how can it go from there to there?
Yeah.
And it's just a reminder that you should never take anything for granted in life. You should never, you know, think to yourself, you know, we are due this. We are, you know, and I'm sure in the days of the Fairs Cup and in the 50s of the you know, those great FA, you know, I'm sure Newcastle fans in those days thought this is going to last forever. You know, we are. It doesn't last forever.
Well, the actually think I'll last forever.
Well, do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? In a strange way, I honestly think you have to say to yourself, let's just be grateful of the good times. Let's just be grateful that we beat Barcelona. Let's just be grateful that we went to the San Siro. Let's just be grateful that we went to Wembley 3 years running. Let's just be grateful that we had Alan Shearer. Let's just be grateful that we had Sir John Hall and Freddie Fletcher and Freddie Shepherd. Let's just be grateful that we had the fantastic times that we had for the best part of 10 years. Because, and I'm not having a go in the slightest at what's happening down the road, but you could be at the Stadium of Light watching Sunderland against Crewe Alexandra, you know? Seriously, seriously. You could be watching Newcastle playing Port Vale, or you could be watching Newcastle playing whoever. Just be really, really grateful that you enjoyed the times that you had, and hope, you know, that somehow it can be turned around and those days can return. But
because for some people, like I say, I do feel lucky. Because, like I say, growing up, I was as a 12-year-old lad in '92, and growing up through that, and it was such a road, and it was up and up all the way. It's fantastic, and explain, and like I say to you know, the kids now, and why are you so mad about Newcastle? Why are you doing all this stuff? Why are you recording videos? Why are you doing know, X, Y, and Z? And you explain to them, and you show them scenes like the San Siro, and it was rocking when Shearer. It's difficult, and you just want to see, you know, will I ever see a trophy in my lifetime? I never thought as a kid I would ever be saying that now, sitting here now, but it's a sad state of affairs for this generation, this Ashley generation, as it's been tagged.
But like I say, you should never take it for granted.
Yeah.
Never take it for granted. Never think that you know, this is something that you're entitled to. I mean, Notts County, the oldest football league club in the world, not a million miles from where I am now, played Boreham Wood on Wednesday night. Notts County were a Premier League team once upon a time, a First Division team. You know, within my, you know, within my lifetime. You know,
so suppose things can change.
No, absolutely. Make no bones about it. In a strange way, you should be grateful for small mercies. You know, as I say, Sunderland are going through absolute purgatory at the minute. And believe me, you know, Sunderland fans are proper football fans, you know?
Yeah.
We might not like them, we might not like the football club, there might be the rivalry, but they are proper football fans. And I don't wish that on them. In the same way that I wouldn't wish that on Newcastle United.
Because I think as well, it also, touching on Sunderland, it's... it doesn't do anything, does it, for the region? I mean, that in itself,
you know what it is? I just bring it down to basics. They're proper football fans.
Yeah.
We're proper football fans. And they are going through absolute hell at the minute.
Yeah.
If we were sat here now and we were going to go and watch Newcastle play Scunthorpe, can you imagine that? And they do that on a daily basis, a weekly basis. You know? That's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good. You know, and they don't look like they're going to get out of that division. So they look like they're going to have another season of it. We are in the Premier League.
Right, what is your thoughts on the club's latest fans forum attempt? It's version, is it 10 or something like that?
I don't know. I mean, it's like everything in life these days. It's well intended.
Yeah.
But that's all it is. It's a token gesture.
Yeah.
It's a token gesture. You know, so much of life these days is about ticking boxes, and that's all they're doing. They're ticking the fans forum box. They're ticking the football and the community box. They're ticking this box. They're ticking that box. That's all clubs do nowadays. They tick boxes. You know, they have to be seen to do the right thing. But then they do nothing about it. Really, it doesn't really get you anywhere. It doesn't really move things along. It doesn't make any significant changes to the football clubs or the relationship between the fans and the football club. You know, as I famously said one time on that pitch, the most important people at this football club are the fans. Without the fans, this football club does not exist. Without the fans, this football club.
It's been painful this season, hasn't it?
Yeah. So, you know, they should never forget it. And I don't need a fans forum. I don't need a meeting with Lee Charnley and Mike Ashley or whoever to tell me that the football fans are the most important thing. What you have to pray and hope is that the football club themselves never lose sight of it. And this is the worry, that sometimes they do lose sight of it, that the fans are the most important people.
Do you think they care about the attendance drop?
I don't think they care in the slightest.
To just spreadsheet?
Well, at the end of the day, once upon a time, football clubs were dependent, absolutely 100% dependent.
So I remember Keegan famously coming out
on gate money. Nowadays, gate money it probably pays the stewards. It probably pays the bar staff.
Yeah.
You know? It's about Sky's money, it's about sponsorship money, it's about investment, it's about all sorts of things. But it's not about whether 44,000 or 47,000 come through the turnstiles. It just isn't. That's not the way football's run these days.
It's just painful though, isn't it, Mick? I mean, I've been there in some nights, and I remember one of my first games was in the League Cup against Hull, when I think it was Ian Rush and Des Hamilton scored, and I've even had better atmospheres in absolutely nothing games like that compared to some of the top games this season.
But it's the old adage. It's the chicken and egg. You know, what comes first, the entertainment on the pitch or the noise in the stands? And it's always got to be the crowd responding to what they're seeing. And if they're not seeing anything, they're not going to scream and bawl. They're not going to shout. They're not going to create the greatest atmosphere in the world, because they're not a paid crowd. They're not clowns who turn up and just scream and bawl about anything. So it's they need something to respond to.
With regards to the club, do you actually think we are still for sale? And do you think a takeover is a real and feasible possibility? You look at like Charlton, who have just come into new ownership, haven't they? With Lee Bowyer down there. Mm-hmm. Do you think it is at all? Because it always seems to come up. I'm very sceptical with regards to the club, with like PR and that sort of things.
We've always been for sale. Anything and everything is for sale. This hotel is for sale. Yeah. I am for sale. You are. Everybody's for sale. Everybody has a price.
Yeah.
Newcastle United have a price. The problem is Mike Ashley's price for Newcastle United, because he wants his money back, is unrealistic. And whether we like it or not, and the saddest thing of all is that we are not a saleable commodity anymore. You know, the football club, the fans, the ground, the city, everything about it is magnificent. But the football side of it is not an attractive proposition. It is not an attractive proposition. And whether you like it or not, when you get to the sort of levels of expenditure, i.e. 200, 300 million, people want guarantees. People want something for their return.
Do you think these have been real? The ones that have come to the front, the Kenyans, the Stableys?
They're trying it on. And and also he's probably using it as a ploy to try and get real buyers out interested. You know, he's trying to create a buzz about the place, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You know, Newcastle United at this minute in time, and it breaks my heart to say it, are not worth anywhere near, as a football club, the amount of money he's asking for. Because what are you going to get for your return? You know, You know, I mean,
it's a struggling giant, isn't it?
It's just not going to happen. And then you've got the overheads. You know, you've got maintaining the. You know, it's a really, really difficult one in terms of trying to sell it, because in some ways it's attractive, but in real terms it's a million miles away from that. We've got Pep Guardiola on the touchline. You know, we've got Premier League football. We've got 52,000 people. You know, there has to be something about that we should feel grateful for.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you
No worries.
ever so much.
No worries.
I appreciate it.